Bulgarian training, often to deload. Bulgarian method was made for weightlifting. Weightlifting is naturally a sub-maximal movement. It is still very difficult. They also used it with squat, but that's an accessory movement. So to translate it into powerlifting, there's got to be a lot of different tweaks. Typically don't recommend it for a long period of times. By the way, it's Silent Mike answering your questions. Hashtag Ask Silent Mike. Out here in Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Just kicking it on the patio of my brand new hotel I just purchased. Living the dream, man. It's nice and sunny out. Getting a little tan on these thickety thighs. Drinking $15 iced coffee. And when I mean iced coffee, it's regular coffee with ice in it. But life is good. I ain't mad at you. So Bulgarian method's great. Very specific, very high intensity, obviously. But you're going to need breaks because your body breaks down. And I also think that optimally, to build muscle and things, you're going to need a little bit more volume. So I would use it sparingly. How to fix one leg pushing more than the other on deadlifts. Multiple ways, but slowing it down, doing some tempo squats could be a mobility thing. So you could have one side that's a little tighter. Make sure your stance is even, make sure your toes are even, make sure the bar is even on your back. The other thing that can help is, again, tempo squats at lighter weights and mentally cueing yourself to stay even and push, sorry, not bar on the back, we're talking deadlifts, to also just mentally cue yourself to pull in a straight line and keep your body even. How do you break a plateau in weight loss? Multiple ways. So you add a cardio or add more energy burning, or you start to take calories away. Those are kind of the two best. So, currently, if you're eating 3,000 calories and doing cardio twice a week, you take away maybe 200 calories or add a day of cardio. Continue this for a while. But I wouldn't call it a plateau until you've been at the same body weight and been strict on your diet and training regimen for probably 3, 4, even 5 weeks. What else we got? Internet. Goose 2323. Really interested in your take experience with lifters that have had meniscus surgeries and how these injuries influence their lifting. If you're talking powerlifting, I don't think it's gonna be that much of a detriment. I mean, there's pro athletes, and obviously they have sometimes better care than us regular humans, but they get back to the field or the court in 6 to 12 weeks. So I think if you do a little rehab, if you take your time and follow your doctor's instructions, you should be able to lift no issues with the meniscus. You're out of breath doing the 5x5 last sets. What to do? So any kind of conditioning, strength takes years. Conditioning can take weeks. Not to say that one's harder than the other, but you can get in pretty decent condition in 3 to 6 weeks. To get really strong will take you a decade. So if you're getting out of breath with a 5x5, just stick with it for 3, 4, 5 weeks, and you should be able to adapt and do a little bit better.
Hey, I just wanted to get your thoughts on where powerlifting is right now and where you'd like to see it go in 5 to 10 years.
Where powerlifting is now, my thoughts, and where it's going. I don't know where it's going, but right now it is growing. It's growing at a rapid pace. There's a lot of people getting interested. There's a lot more people knowing what it is. Even at this beautiful hotel I just purchased, the lovely concierge, my man, he knew who I was, which blows my freaking mind, but he must have seen some type of lifting video that I was in, so he knows what powerlifting is. And I feel like 10 years ago that wasn't the case. Hopefully 10 years towards the future, we get rid of some of these gimmicky things that try to teach you a shortcut or try to teach you some horse shit, fast-paced shit to lose weight or get strong, and people start to realize that it's just going to take a little bit of patience, a little bit of hard work. It's not even that tough. People talk about grind and hustle and all this. It's just a little bit of work over a long period of time. You don't have to go balls to the wall every single day. That's just not how it goes. You need a smart plan, you need to stay disciplined, and you need to stay consistent and patient over a long period of time, and you can get some amazing gains. I had to hike these shorts up, getting that Texas tan. Texas tuck? What? What sort of body fat percentage should I aim to be before starting a lean bulk? Bulking, cutting, when to do it. hypertrophy, strength, when to do it is largely going to be based on your goals, and that's your life. I can't say. So obviously there's a certain body fat percentage that starts to become a little unhealthy, but besides that, it's kind of 100% up to you. You know, you start to get above 20% for a guy and maybe above 25-30% for a lady. You start to risk perhaps some health issues, but otherwise it's up to you how you want to look, how you want to feel, and how you want to perform. I think what's optimal for most guys is around 15%. You know, a lot of athletes per se, but 15% is really low for some, and 15% is really high for others. So you got to kind of figure it out, man. My deadlift is stalled at 550 pounds. Everything past that can't even get it off the ground. It sounds like you need to find a program. Something stalls, you need to change it. Keep doing the same thing all the time. Most time when I hear that people actually stall in a lift or plateau, it's because they're lifting too heavy too often. So you got to take a step back, focus on building volume, maybe even add a day of frequency, and build up that technique time and time again, repetition after repetition. I know that sounds boring. I know these answers are quick, but these questions aren't that detailed. How would you train someone for their day one, aka their first day in the gym? Way too broad. Depends on the goals, but start to teach some type of squat, mechanics in the squat. Try to teach some kind of hip hinge or mechanics in the deadlift, and build away from there. Getting some work in at the end with more simple exercises like a row, a pull down, even a burpee. Working a lot of sled work because it's a little bit less technical. You can get a lot of work done with things like that. But again, it depends on the general goal. How do you increase your bench press? My two other lifts overpower your bench way too much. So the bench press is tricky for many people. Tends to be harder if you're a little bit lighter weight. Tends to be harder if you're a little bit, if you tend to be a lady, but not always. And what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to focus on technique and keeping that frequency up. So I've given so many examples. Hopefully you guys check out those videos in the past. I've basically given you, I do have a free program, link's always in the description, for my paid programs and my free programs on bench. But you're gonna have to up the frequency and probably up the volume. So benching 3 to 4 times a week is great for many. Focusing on technique, keeping those shoulders controlled back tight. Working your bar path, squeezing that bar tight, straight wrists. Over a long period of time, building up your arms, back, and shoulders will help. So shoulder press, triceps, back, 5 years, benching often, focus technique. Following a solid program is going to be really important, and then being in a calorie surplus, if not maintenance, will also help. So if you're dieting or not eating enough food, it's going to be very difficult to progress in the bench. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this session of #AskSilent. Hit me up, Twitter, Instagram, use that hashtag. Next time we'll film, I'll grab those. As always, if you want to grab any Reebok gear that you see me wearing, that you like to rock, check out my store. It's in the description. All my programming, kaizentraining.com. All